TD will be.
Yeah,
There's
buddy.
one waiting in here. We'll get some people in here. I mean, dude, it's tight end tiers.
What do I retweet? Whose account?
It's Razzball.
I know Diehard.
Razzball account. It doesn't go out through the Diehards account. I've tried.
Okay.
I've tried to get it linked. It just never works. But people still find us somehow. Who knows? I have decided that I absolutely hate that picture of myself, Matt. I have to change it.
I love it, man.
It makes me
No
look
way,
fat.
dude.
It's a weird angle. I'm like,
But dude, that's the trick though. You come in with the fat pick, and then when they see you, they're like, "Oh, he's not that fat. He's actually very
yeah, but
slim."
then they see me in person and they're like, "Oh no, he's fat."
Oh wait, he is fat. Yeah,
Oh, wait,
well, it's a
he's
roll.
fat.
It's a roll. You got to keep him guessing,
I
dude.
just,
What a
got
roller
some
coaster.
junk, I just got some junk in my trunk, all right? I have strong thighs.
It's
They
bull
used to
season.
call me Thunder Thighs in high school. You know, what
Junk-
am I supposed to do?
Junk in the trunk and a hat in the freezer, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.
Damn straight, that's right. Well, everybody, thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Dynasty Diehards. We're always talking about some bullshit on this show. The bullshit we're talking about today, however, is tight ends. And we have brought in the tight end guru himself, Mr. Andrew Cooper of Fantasy Alarm. Andrew, thanks for joining us today. How are you doing on this fine Wednesday afternoon? Well, I guess
I'm doing
evening for you.
Evening, yeah, it's like six or so. But I'm doing phenomenal, man. Once a Jester hit me up, honestly, Jester hit me up and said we're doing anything, I probably would have said yes. But the fact that it was tight ends, dude, locked in, loaded. That's my specialty. It's my favorite. And the people are always like, "Oh, let's have you on to talk about something else," because I'm sure you're sick of it. Not sick of it at all. I love talking tight ends, man. It's what I do. It's my bread and butter. So,
Yep,
my favorite.
Well,
There's a
what's
reason
not
we reached out to you.
Well, because we got 3 tight end lovers here, right?
Phrasing.
dude.
Phrasing.
You love a good tight end, right? We've already
That's
got
right.
Mr. Scampers, our favorite fantasy cat in the chat.
Chat
Diehards
cat.
with Coop. Damn straight, that's right. Then we've got Toronto Dave, 3 absolute beats on this show right now. Mr. Toronto Dave, thank you for tuning in, guys. We've got a great show for you. What we're going to do today, we're going to look at the Fantasy Pros expert consensus rankings for tight ends, specifically for Dynasty. We're going to talk about them. We're going to talk about what we think. There have actually been some changes since this morning. We had one tight end move up that pushed another tight end back. So that's something we're going to have to talk about here in a little bit. But guys, let's get to it here. So we've got our first set of tiers here. We've got tier 1. And I have to do some maneuvering here. This is all brand new to me, guys. Brand new setup for the day today.
Ooh,
Boo.
look
And
at
here
that.
we are.
Ooh, those
So-
graphics.
Tier 1. These guys, I think everyone is taking in the first 3 rounds from what I have seen in most drafts. We've got Mark Andrews, Kyle Pitts, TJ Hawkinson, and Travis Kelce. Don't know why I put the T in front of Kelce. Everyone knows who the hell he is. Like, of all these guys, he's the last one who needs an initial in the front, right? So, Andrew, I want to get your thoughts on this. So, first of all, I want to know, how are you ranking these guys right now in Dynasty?
Yeah, I mean, so Dynasty is always tough because, I mean, in the top tier, it doesn't matter as much, but you kind of got to know the direction you're going in, right? So just to get this out front, my system, I call it SORT, right? Start, opportunity, roster, talent. You always want to roster as many talented players that you believe in as possible. But when it comes to tight ends, that window of production, a lot of those factors are outside the tight end's it's outside his responsibility, right? It's the quarterback. It's how many good pass catchers are on the team. It's the scheme, right? So a guy like Delaney Walker, for 7 years, he sat behind Vernon Davis. Then he finally broke out when he left. A guy like Dallas Goedert had to wait his turn. So for me,
Evan
it depends.
Ingram, if you want to get personal with it,
Sure.
too.
Evan Ingram, he plays with Eli Manning. He's top 5. He plays with another quarterback. He's not that good. He plays with Trevor Lawrence. He's top 5. I don't know, some sort of pattern unfolding there. I don't know. I can't really put my finger on it. You know what I mean?
It's a shame we can't do
It's like
something
there's something to
predictive with that.
quarterbacks, right?
That's
Like,
right.
Quarterbacks actually do matter. Who knew?
Some of that, right? So for a guy on this screen right now, I don't even need to tell you which one. The quarterback's the problem right now, right? But we believe in the talent. He's already had a 1,000-yard season as a rookie. The guy on the far right, Travis Kelce, he didn't have a 1,000-yard season until he was 27 years old, right? Zach Ertz only has 1 in his career. So 1,000 yards is very special. Yeah. Zach Ertz, of all the years that he got peppered with targets, he's just been such a low ADOT not particularly fast guy that he needed 150 targets that 1 year to get 1,000 yards. So it's a rare feat, and that's why for me, I'm willing to put Kyle Pitts, like especially if you're going with a young build in a startup, I would take Kyle Pitts over the rest of these guys if I was doing if I was playing for the future, man. That's the way I would go. Now, if I'm playing a win now, I'm just drafting Travis Kelce, because when I go into win now mode in Dynasty when I'm doing a startup, my redraft rankings not far off from my Dynasty rankings. So that's where I'm at. Obviously, you can't miss with Andrews, but this is my top 4 tier as well. Is there any that you guys would put in here that you don't feel is here?
I will. I'll put in Goddard. I think Goddard has earned it. I think just watching him last year, seeing what he can do, seeing the points that he can put up, I think he deserves it. I think he's in the big boy bully tight end tier. And he's so much cheaper than the rest of them, too.
So the thing for me with Goddard, and Nate, were you going to say something on that one, or did you cool for me to jump in?
I completely disagree, so you just go ahead and say your piece.
Yeah, so I'll say that I'm kind of, there's 2 guys that are in no man's land for me. That's Goddard and Kittle. And the problem that we run into with these guys is that you look at this group in front of us, and I can safely say at this moment, I put them as top 2 targets on their team. Now, if Jordan Addison emerges quickly and he's a star right away, Hawkinson might kind of find his way into that no man's land that Kittle and Goddard are in. When you look at Goddard in the games where everyone was healthy, you had 8 targets per game for A.J. Brown, 7.7 for Devonta Smith, and Goddard was getting 5.6, which 5.6 targets for a tight end is all you really need in this world to finish like 4th, 5th, or 6th. But it caps his upside to a situation where he needs someone to get hurt to be the top tight end in the league, realistically.
You know, I think that there is a boost for the fact that they have such a powerful offense that you can slate him for probably 3 more expected touchdowns, right?
So yeah, you can give him. The thing is, touchdowns are so fluky. Even Kelce only has a couple seasons with double digits. You know, it is a difficult metric, but that's why they're very safe. Like, so it's almost like the way I do it is these 4 guys. Any one of them, in my opinion, could be the number 1 tight end. Like, obviously, Kelsey's the front runner, but they could all be top 2 targets on their team. Kelce, Pitts, and Andrews could all lead their team in targets. So that's why I kind of put them in a different tier, because no one is projecting Dallas Goedert to lead that team in targets, right? So he's very safe, but he just doesn't have quite that upside. And Nate, if you wanted to disagree even further.
Well, so here's my thing, and I'll be curious to see what both of you think about this with Goddard. What concerns me is the addition of DeAndre Swift. This is an element that this offense didn't have last season. Kind of with Kenny Gainwell, certainly not with Miles Sanders, not that pass-catching talent in the backfield. I feel like that this is going to affect Goddard's production. Now, not enough to take him out of the 2nd tier of tight ends, but I think that's what's keeping me from wanting him to be. He's got 3 guys that might be getting targets ahead of him in this offense. I'll say this for Goddard is that he at least he is a high A-dot player. He gets downfield. If they had a tight end on that team, this is true for a lot of mobile quarterbacks. If you have a tight end that floats around the line of scrimmage, the quarterback's not going to dump it down to you. Cole Kmet ran into that. We're like, if I'm Justin Fields, why in the world would I flip the ball to Cole Kmet if I could just run it myself? So you run into that with the lower A-dot guys. And Swift, I think, is going to run into some target issues because of the mobile QBs not liking to dump it down. Goddard's okay in that sense, but you're right. It's like it's easy to project him for like 90 to 100 targets. It's hard to project him to just go crazy and have like 130 without an injury. Right. Well, his highest target season was 87 in 2019.
Yeah. Well, because he's never been healthy.
Right. He's never been healthy. He was behind Zach Ertz. Yeah. I think if he sees 100 targets to 120 targets this season, he might sneak into this top tier, but there's no way that happens. There's absolutely no way. If
neither Devonta Smith or AJ Brown get hurt and Dallas Goedert gets 120 targets, then it won't matter who has any of these guys. Whoever has Jalen Hurts has already won the league, right?
Ooh, I like it.
Oh,
that's how it goes for a lot of we'll talk about another player later on that I feel the same way about, where it's like, if you're projecting X to happen, then the quarterback is just going to go ballistic, right? So, right. So I'm with you on that. Let's take a peek at the 2nd tier then, right?
Well, real quick. So you want the quarterback of these thriving pass catchers, right? I got to tell you, I'm kind of in love with Ritter this year. If he can just take advantage of his two studs and Bijan Robinson with London, Pitts, and Bijan, and Cordell Patterson putting up numbers here and there with weird squeaky plays. If they actually, that's not much of a target dispersal for him to have to learn. So if their coach can do what he did with Tannehill in Tennessee and bring that sort of very simple game plan, and then also find a way to get Ritter 40 yards rushing a game. I'm really, really excited about that as just like a super, super discount dude, especially when we like his weapons so much. And also on Hawkinson, you were talking about you want somebody to be a top 2 target on the team. Nate, if you're worried about Swift in Philadelphia, you got to be a little bit worried about not just Addison, but also Gibbs in Minnesota. I'm on the wrong team. I'm so sorry.
You went down the Hawkinson Lions trajectory.
And I'll be honest, he looks great in purple. I don't know why I did that.
Yeah, no, I do that all the time. I still do that same exact thing with that same exact player. It's the mid-season trade that gets you 100%. So
he's still got a blue jersey on the sleeper app too.
I've done that this week. 100%. I've done that. Yeah,
I did that with Mike. We will talk about later. So let's get into this second tier. Now we've got George Kittle, Dallas Goedert, Pat Freiermuth, and Dalton Kincaid, the rookie. Basically, they're saying he's a top 8 tight end this season.
That's where they have him? I thought you were being hot-takey.
That's wild business. Now, before we get into this, one thing I will ask you guys is what the hell is Pat Freiermuth doing in that picture? Like, what's going on there?
He's Salt Bay.
He looks like he's just like slapped it away. What is it? Or is that
controlling it with his hand?
He's just hovering it like he's in the force. Yeah, I mean, I don't understand at what point that was snapped. It looks like the ball just doinked off his helmet.
You know what? It's a mic drop. He's doing like a bat flip mic drop.
Maybe actually. Well, if that's the case, then that's a dope pick. Yeah.
So right.
LaDainian Tomlinson flicking the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Well, it's why I picked it for the thumbnail. I had to. It's just that ball floating right there, right above it's perfect. Now, okay, so we're already talking about Pat Freiermuth. For me, I think he's probably third out of 4 in this tier. I think I've got Kittle and Goedert pretty safely in front of him. Matt, am I crazy?
No, not at all. No, and just because of how fragile Kittle's health is, and we don't know who his quarterback is, I'm very happy putting Goddard above Kittle. And you know that because I was trying to bump him into the first tier, but y'all kind of bullied me out of it, and that's okay. That's okay. I'll take the discount. Muth is fine. He's just very unsexy, but their offense should get more than 7 passing touchdowns this year, and he's reliable. Kincaid, I think, is kind of a stretch.
It's hot.
Flag plant this early.
It's hot. I will say this: I have Pat Freiermuth. I don't have him in this tier. I have him a tier behind here. And there are 2 guys in the next tier that I would put in this tier.
Can I guess who they are without knowing who's in the next tier?
Yeah, actually you can. But I think you might be wrong on one, but go.
I'm going to go with Waller and Ingram, just because you've got this weird affinity for Ingram.
See,
and Waller's going to be Waller the baller. He's back, baby.
Very close. So we'll leave this as a teaser for next year. Waller is one. Ingram is actually not right now. So I'll leave the teaser for the next year. The problem I run into with Freiermuth of this group is that we look at Kittle, who's been, he can do more with less, right? This is a player who runs a 4.5 240, which is 95th percentile. No guy in the league, no tight in the league has more 40+ yard receptions than him. In fact, only him and Kelsey have double digits, and no one else has more than 5 or 6. Like Gerald Everett is like the next highest with 5. It's no tight ends aren't breaking off big chunk plays, except Kittle and Kelsey.
You're right. They're not supposed to do that, but he's so fast, and he'll do it twice in a game and get you 30 points, and that's why he's so special.
That's why even with the other guys, we say Ayuk and Debo and CMC. That's why he's kind of a unicorn in that sense, and Gronk was the same way. These are the 2 guys who can block on 10% of their pass plays and run way fewer routes than everyone else, but because of the special playability, they keep themselves up there, and when they are a top target on the team, when guys get hurt or whatever, then it gets crazy, it gets scary. You get the Kittle year that you had. You get Rob Gronkowski, 18 touchdown, the best tight end season of all time in all formats, right? So yeah, those guys, they have to be here. The problem I have with Muth is that we don't like the quarterback, and you have to make a decision. Deontay Johnson's never had less than 140 targets. He's going to get his targets, right? So it's Freiermuth versus George Pickens, unless, like we said, unless the quarterback goes ballistic. The last time you had 2 top 24 wide receivers and a top 5 tight end, 2013 Peyton Manning threw 55 touchdown passes, a record which still stands, right? Like, and Orange Julius got there.
Pickett only needs 48 more than he had last year.
Like that. No, honestly, hey, if Herms was here, he would say it's entirely possible, right? Mm-hmm. But the thing is, if somebody out there, somebody in the chat came to me and they said, I think Pat Freiermuth gets more targets than George Pickens, and I have him in this tier. You know what I'd say? I would say, okay. I would say that's fine and that's fair and that's your opinion and you're allowed to have it. And it's not what I think, but I don't know all the answers. It's the problem I have is when people come to me and they say, Pat Freiermuth is going to be the 3rd target on this team and I have him at tight end 5. And I'm like, how is that supposed to happen? I'm like, you must be drafting Kenny Pickett at 100% of leagues.
They
right?
should be. Yeah.
Right. So it's the discrepancy. If you're betting against yourself, then I'll say you're wrong. If you truly believe he gets more than Pickett, then you know what? You're allowed to have that take.
None of us really know anything anyway.
Right.
At the end of the day.
Sure. I can't see a world where he gets more targets than Pickens. It doesn't make sense to me.
It could be possible. It could be possible.
I mean, Matt Canada is the offensive coordinator there still for some weird reason. I know a lot of people don't like Kenny Pickett. Maybe this is a hot take from me, but I really like what I saw to Kenny Pickett the back half of last season. I think the kid's destined to be probably a back-end QB 1 tier, maybe high-end QB 2 tier in the next couple of seasons. Does it happen this season? Probably not. But I think Muth is kind of a comfort blanket for him.
Yeah.
He's comfortable with that for him.
Oh, so last year, but we know about all the red zone stuff. I pulled up every play where it was last 3 minutes of the second, fourth, or overtime. So last 3 minutes of the second quarter, fourth quarter, overtime, and the team was either tied or down by 16 or fewer points, basically simulating the 2-minute drill as best as possible. We always say 2-minute drill, but the minute up to the 2-minute is also part of that hectic period, right?
Sure.
No player in the entire league under those conditions got more targets than Pat Freiermuth.
Wow, that is a safety blanket.
At any no Justin Jefferson, no Austin Eckler, no, like those guys were obviously up there. And I also sorted it by opportunities. He got 70% of his team's opportunities, also the highest of any player. So safety blanket for sure. That's why I'm not moving him like off the face of the earth. I personally have Pickens ahead. So that's what I got to do. And I'll say one last thing on Kenny Pickett and Desmond Ridder for both of you guys, because I like both those takes. When we look at the ADP on underdog and stuff like that, either the ADPs for these pass catchers are wrong or the ADP for the pass thrower is wrong. And we looked at this last year with Tua and Jalen Waddle, and it turned out that Tua was the one that was wrong. And anyone that, I know he got hurt, but anyone that had Tua for those games, man, like the Baltimore game.
Was that the 50-point game?
Good.
Look what he can do.
It's possible.
Well, dude, Tua's going in the 10th and 11th round.
Crazy. Bonkers.
I don't look
in one quarterback redraft or what?
Super flex. I've seen him go 10th. I've seen him go 10th and 11th round in some super flex mocks I've done.
We saw this happen with Devontae Adams the year he had a bunch of concussions. We saw this happen with Brandon Cooks when he had the concussions, and everybody that drafted those players profited.
Yep, exactly. I have a lot of Tua.
I have so much Tua, and I just traded for him again. It's disgusting. Yeah.
Good.
All right, guys. So let's move on to tier 3. This is where it gets interesting. These are where the tiers get a little bit bigger here. Now we've got 8.
Ooh, this is a really fun one.
This is a really
It's
fun
a nice
one.
Graphic with 8 players. Since Nate's frozen, I'll just read them out. It's Njoku, Evan Ingram, Sam Laporta, and Michael Meyer. That's fun with the 2 rookies. Komet, who was surprisingly, what was he, tight end 7 or 9 last year?
8, I think, yeah.
Okay.
Which is crazy because he put up back-to-back zeros the first 2 games.
Well,
on like 90% snap shares.
They came out of the gate ice cold also.
Gross.
I remember mid-season, I was trying so hard to get a first plus for Justin Fields, and I couldn't. And thank goodness, some of the best trades you make are the ones that get rejected, you know?
Yeah.
So they definitely turned it around. And speaking of that, when after Hawkinson did go to Minnesota, didn't he average about 9 targets a game? Do you have that number offhand?
He was flying. Yeah, he was crushing,
crazy
dude.
numbers.
Well, he was second in targets amongst tight ends, just behind Kelsey last season. So
well, he was second in tight end placement.
There were only 4 tight ends that led their team in targets last year, and it was Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, Cole Kmet, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah, led the Bears in targets because Darnell Mooney got hurt, and Chase Claypool. You can't. Chase Claypool was only there for half the year. It's like, who else would have been? And then one other guy from a later tier. That's another spoiler. That's another teaser. You see how that's professional mode.
I'm so excited.
We're leading. We're keeping everybody here for the next tier.
Cool.
Yeah, and I want to ask you guys before we get into this. I like this game of analyzing the pictures here. If you had to pick just based on picture, who you taking?
David Njoku.
He looks like the Predator in that picture.
Right.
That's dope. Yeah.
Dude, Sam Laporta looks like a dad at like a kid's party.
He looks like you know the picture where they had all these rookies like draw from memory their team's mascot, and he draws this like ridiculous, silly little third grade like crayon lion going. He looks like that lion there.
He does look like he's going rawr. He looks like he's like spraying the kids down with a hose or something. Like a dad just like
sprinkler time, kids.
Sprinkler time. Yeah, he just like went under the sprinkler, like.
So it's the Njoku and Laporta, and it's like the guy that she told you not to worry about is Laporta, and he's just this doughy sweetheart who I've seen some clips from him in college. That dude can snatch, man.
He's nasty, bro.
Smoking on that Laporta pack. I like it a lot.
Yeah, he's crazy elusive too. Like you look at this picture, dude. He broke 20 tackles his senior year. Yeah,
including the bowl game, right? And
if you include the bowl game, he broke 20. He broke like 6 on that. He broke 6 in the bowl game, and I think they're all in that one play, right?
On that play, it's so good.
Go check out
highlight. Go check out Coops. How would they find it if they search your page?
Yeah, don't go to my page right now. It's all Stephon Diggs with Crab Rangoons and Sam Howell arguments. Like it is my timeline is disaster. Don't go to my timeline. Go to
farming season, huh?
Type at Coop A Fiasco Laporta, and that'll find you some fun stuff on Sam Laporta.
I'm very excited about this guy.
Yeah. So, but now that we're here, of these guys in this group, Jester, now that you see the pictures, do you know who the guy I would put in the tier above is? It's a risky one, but I
know who it is.
Whoa.
It's Nate.
Gotta be a Okonkwo, right?
It's a Okonkwo.
It's a Okonkwo. It is a Okonkwo, man. I'm fully sold. And I'll give
last year, Treylon Burks got hurt, so he was competing with even Kyle Phillips got hurt, so he was de facto.
So here's what happened with Okonkwo last year, and it's a narrative that's so. Think about Mark Andrews as a rookie. They drafted Hayden Hurst first, and they had Nick Boyle, so he was technically third in snaps. Only played 35% of the snaps, but his yards per route run was over 2. He had 35 catches or so on the 35% snaps. When you boiled down the numbers in terms of ADOT and catch rate and contested catch rate, it was all there. I picture these guys like machines where the fuel is snaps. If the machine works really well and you just can add snaps to it, that's how we get these breakouts like Mark Andrews.
Because it's efficiently using the fuel that it's given, right?
Exactly. So, but it's like when you only give it 35% of the snaps, it's, you're not going to get the output, right? So with Okonkwo, he actually had a better contested catch rate. He had a higher yards per route run. He played 35% of the snaps behind Jeff Swaim and Austin Hooper, who were both gone. And he had 3 40-plus yard plays, which the only other tight end in the league that's ever done that in the last decade is George Kittle. He runs a 4.52, which is the same 40 time as George Kittle.
Right?
The only behind the scene metric that Mark Andrews as a rookie was better in was ADOT. That's the only one. So this is all hypothetical, but you put those hypotheticals together with more snaps and the fact that Treylon Burks is the only guy on the team that I personally believe is a better pass catcher, it could be absolutely wheels up for this player. I'm willing to push my chips on that type of player, hoping that he ascends to the next level. And if it falls flat, it falls flat. But after this tier, everybody's flat, right? So it doesn't even matter. It's just like Why not take a shot on upside rather than settle? So that's my Okonkwo stump speech.
See, I'm with you on
it. I'm sold.
We talk about you want this guy to be the first or second target on the team. And like you said, that's what Okonkwo is in this Titans offense. This isn't an offense that's going to get fancy throwing the ball. Not much has changed. Same offensive coordinator. Still got Mike Vrabel, who's a defensive-minded coach. They've got Derrick Henry. They're going to pound the ball. I don't see why he can't be tight end 8, tight end 6. And
that's why I have him ranked. I have him ranked at 8. Yeah. The thing about my back, like my seasonal tight end rankings, is that I'm not ranking anyone 6, 7, 8, or 9 if I don't believe they can be top 5. And every tight end in PPR, going back to Randy McMichael in 2003, Scampers, Toronto Dave, people that have been in shows that I've done before, I've heard that stat. Everyone going back to 2003 has had either 90 targets or 10 touchdowns. It's fairly rare for guys to get 90 targets if they're the third or fourth target on the team, and it's fairly rare for guys to get double-digit touchdowns. I'm not projecting anyone to get double-digit touchdowns. Maybe Kelsey. So I need those targets. If for me to rank anyone at 7, 8, or 9, I need a reason why they can be a top target on the team. That's why I like Waller from this tier up in the next one. That's why I like Okonkwo. That's why we think about Njoku versus Elijah Moore. But look around. I mean, some of these other guys.
And Amari Cooper.
And Amari Cooper. Well, it's Amari Cooper. I take him and I just put him up at the top. So that's why it's Njoku versus Moore for me for second. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Like same with Laporta. Like we're not going to put him above Amon-Ra St. Brown, but with Jameson Williams suspended.
We don't hope for an injury, but he's supposed to get I'm going to go there, the Lions share. Right?
Hey.
Room there. Hey.
Yes. I mean, you draft a guy upper second round. No, Shane Zylstra is probably the best pass catching tight end on that team besides Laporta, and it's not even close, dude. Like Laporta is the dude. So yeah, I mean the problem with it is I love Engram, and we waited this whole time, and then they bring in Calvin Ridley. So now we have to wait till next year for him to go somewhere else. Same with Michael Mayer. He's in our sort system. We like the talent, so he's a stash. But I mean, how many targets he's going to get, Nate?
No, dude. So I have a whole thing with this Raiders offense, and I'm going to be talking about it on Fantasy and Frames later in regards to Devontae Adams. I don't like the quarterback situation, especially for guys like Devontae Adams and for Michael Mayer.
And we don't even know how healthy. We don't know how healthy Jimmy Garoppolo is either.
The foot, right?
Yeah. And that's been one of my things. Are we going to have Brian Hoyer behind center? Like that's a real possibility.
Are we gonna have new partial owner Tom Brady behind center?
If Brian, I believe they made a rule that's part of it, that you can't pull a Yamir Yager and just say I'm playing tonight.
Oh,
do you remember that Yager? They asked one of the players about it, and they were like, "He's the owner of the team. He can do whatever he wants." Like that's how they do it in the Czech Republic.
He's Washington Wizards Jordan. He can do what he
wants.
He
can do whatever he wants, man. But that's the thing is that like if Brian Hoyer's the quarterback, Devontae Adams probably won't even play. Like he'll probably just give up. So maybe Mayer. Maybe that's how Mayer gets the targets. But
we've still got Jacoby Myers there. We've still got Devontae Adams. We've still got Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah, I mean, geez, you have Hunter Renfrow. You have Hunter Renfrow
targets.
You have second Hunter Renfrow, right? Like, so, and I run into that problem. I run into the same problem with Dulcich, right? And here's the thing, same. With Britt Flynn though, she's adamant that she truly believes that he is going to get more targets than Courtland Sutton. To which I say, okay, you know what? Like she's done her research. She works her ass off. So if she likes Judy and she believes that with Sean Payton and Joe Lombardi, that Dulcich will either match Sutton or get more. And if they get the same number of targets and one guy's eligible at the tight end position, he's much more valuable. So You know what? What I say to her, we don't argue about it. I just say, hey, maybe you're right, maybe I'm right. But I disagree, but it's like you can't bash somebody that's done their research for having an opinion. That's my policy. So
sure.
Absolutely.
You know what? I kind of agree with her looking at the Denver offense and being someone who's inundated with Broncos talk because I live in Denver.
You live in Denver.
I live in Denver, so I hear tons. A lot of people are really low on Courtland Sutton within the franchise because if you look at the last 2 seasons, he's been healthy. And from a fantasy standpoint, wide receiver 44 and wide receiver 43.
And when
you
he's
talk about how bad the offenses have been,
and if you only take the games that Judy was playing, he's averaging like 4 points a game.
Yeah.
I sold him recently during a rookie draft where you have to have it's only rookies in the taxi squad. So I kind of had to make a little amends, but I sold him for 312 and 2/4. I have no faith in Cortland Sutton, and I'd rather just re-roll literally anything.
I think there's a realistic chance Tim Patrick has more targets.
I completely agree with you.
Like the thing is, I could still see them trading a guy either now or during the season. Back when I was young, when I was a kid, when I first started watching football, in-season trade, that was like people wouldn't even mention it. Like that just was never a thing. Do you guys remember big kids, like guys get traded mid-season? Like it never ever happened. But now, dude, I watched a quarterback get traded last season and start for the Rams. Like now it's happening, like, Zach Ertz getting moved midseason. Like now it happens. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them move a guy because, like, you look at what Sean Payton's doing. He brings over multiple blocking tight ends, Chris Manhertz, Adam Trotman. He brings in a fullback, Michael Burton. And people say, oh, who cares, fullback? This guy played 25 to 35% of the snaps for Sean Payton in New Orleans. You have all those guys just kind of taking these snaps away. And then you have Dulcich and Alberto and Marvin Mims and Judy and Sutton and KJ Hamler and Tim Patrick. It's like a goddamn clown car. Like they might, like, what happens if everybody plays like 60% of the snaps? It could be a nightmare. So I want to trade. I want a guy traded away.
Yeah. So
just not to the Titans.
What's Russell Wilson's ADP? If you want to go back to that recurring theme of one of these is wrong, whether it's the pass catcher or the
It's in redraft, it's 18. It's QB 18, which is crazy because last year he finished, even with his terrible year, he finished his QB 15. So he's being drafted.
Terrible last year.
He was terrible and it was 15, and now he's being drafted at 18. So if he's as bad as he was last year, he'll beat ADP. And I think he's going to be a little better. So Ross is another one I'm in on too. Yeah.
Me too. That's fun.
Well, at his cost, how can you not be? And if you're looking at the Sean Payton offense, look how much better he was the second half of last season, even. Like, especially once Nathaniel Hackett was gone, it was kind of like, okay, now he's starting to find his groove. So maybe that is good for Dulcich. But like you said, Andrew, there are so many mouths to feed in this Denver offense. Like, it's hard to get super excited about it.
Right.
And the same thing with Evan Ingram. Like, I love the talent, and we all waited for him for years to finally do something, right?
You don't got to tell me, dude.
Dynamic offense.
Bro, I got yelled at for 3 years straight.
Like, I feel like you waited for like 7 years. Was it all?
It was, it actually was. So his rookie year, he was top 5. Then I got yelled at for 4 years, and then we had a goddamn parade every day last year when he was like blowing up. You know what I mean? That was beautiful. But yeah, you're right. And the crazy thing is, like, now we're off him, and then next year if he leaves as a free agent, we're back, right? But that's why the sort system's so important. It's like you got to recognize who you like and who you don't. Like a guy like Austin Hooper, he's a guy that we didn't like the talent, but we liked the fact that the Falcons threw 50 more passes than any other team in the league. And then when he went to the Browns, that's when we should have known to get away. So before we move on to the next one, I'd ask you guys, Cole Kmet, do you think top 2 target? Is it possible? Where are we at? I know. Nate, Nate, your face just now is exactly how I feel, bro. That's
how I feel about it too. Because I can't. I mean, we've got DJ Moore. What is DJ Moore going to be? I'm excited about him, but then again, we could just see the mediocre waiting to pop DJ Moore we've seen in years past. If DJ Moore plays well, I think that's trouble for Cole Kmet. If DJ Moore isn't dealing with Justin Fields, I think that's good news for Cole Kmet in fantasy. But if DJ Moore is good, I think you have to kind of forget about Cole Kmet as anybody other than like maybe an occasional streamer at tight end.
And there was Darnell Mooney still there. And I haven't fully given up on Chase Claypool. I know a lot of people have. It's just I wouldn't put Kmet in this tier anymore. He's bad. He's in the freezer for me. I take Michael Mayer. Those guys are I like them, but we're waiting for a sign of life. We're waiting for them. They're in hibernation right now. And Evan Ingram too.
There are 4th tier guys I would take ahead of Cole Kmet at this point.
Yeah. I mean, no question.
I think there's a big disparity in this tier with ages also. I think Njoku's 26 at 27 now. Ingram's probably 28. Waller's getting to be 30 or 31. Those guys are all going to be the guys putting up points, and these other guys are the guys that were hoping it's more of like a dynasty youth value and dart throw than it is as far as getting points. There's just a big disparity in this tier.
Sure.
Yeah, people don't. I think a lot of people don't fully realize that Waller is 30 because he was new to us when he broke out, right? But he's older. So yeah, let's hit the next tier because I think there are guys here that
there are. So
first of before we get into it,
go ahead.
I said before we get into it, pictures, right? Yeah.
Well, I noticed that Nate's really low. Nate's really low on Waller, and that's why he put him in. He just dragged him down to this tier again. So Waller's in 2 tiers now because Nate's a hater.
That's definitely Juwan Johnson. That's Juwan Johnson in that picture, 100%, dude.
Can you tell I copied and pasted this in a haste this morning?
Yeah, that's 100% Juwan Johnson.
It is 100% Juwan Johnson.
Yeah, that's funny. And dude, McBride is getting crushed in that picture. Is that? Oh wait, is that the hit? That's the hit by Marcus Johnson from the Patriots. Marcus Jones from the Patriots. That's what that play is, dude. I love Marcus Jones, man. He scored a offensive touchdown, a defensive touchdown, and a special teams touchdown last year.
He was
That's
a
fun play.
Trifecta, the Triple Crown.
Marcus Jones, the old Triple Crown. Yeah, he was a rookie. But dude,
how did he get it done on offense?
They just put him out there, Devin Hester style.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they threw him a screen, and he just took it like 25 yards. I think it's the Bills, maybe. But
they Cordero Patterson to him.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Dude's electric. But yeah, that's a funny picture of McBride because he got cracked on that play.
Speaking of Patriots, Coop, I know that you're a Patriots fan, right? You're up there in Boston.
Yes, sir.
We were talking earlier about midseason trades, and who was the guy that made Bill Belichick mad? And at halftime during a game, he traded him to the Browns because the Browns were such just a crap show that he was like, you know what? We're putting you in the gulags of Cleveland, and he traded him at halftime.
Yeah, it was like that was Jamie Collins. It was So Jamie Collins was just not. He was playing hero ball, and the Patriots system is like you have your assignment, right? It's like if you're a defensive end, you go out and your job is to keep the quarterback inside. They don't care if you make the tackle as long as you keep him inside. Jamie Collins was like, I'm going to make plays. And he started basically doing his own thing. And Belichick was like, to the Browns, to Siberia. He's done that a bunch of times, man. Like
that's very Moneyball, you know?
Yeah,
where he's like, actually, he's not starting free tonight. I traded him. Right.
He cut a dude right before the Super Bowl. He obviously benched Malcolm Butler in the Super Bowl. Like he gets to be the GM and the coach. So he picks the groceries and he cooks the dinner. And if you're not at dinner on time. Dude, Jonas Gray had 4 touchdowns in a game against the Colts, and then he slept through his alarm and was released before after the next season. You remember Jonas Gray, dude? Like,
awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, let me ask you guys, because I know you mentioned you would take guys from this tier, Nate, over, who is it? Over
Cole Kmet.
Cole Kmet. Yeah. So who do you like from this group?
Definitely Jelani Woods. I think with a rookie quarterback and Anthony Richardson, and outside of we've got Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, Jonathan Taylor, and then you've got this big athletic Jelani Woods who's 6'8" and runs like a 4.7 40, which is just freakish for me. Linda kind of got me on the Jelani.
Me too. Yeah, because she explained he wasn't being used at Oklahoma State. That's why he had to transfer, and that's why his numbers didn't look so good. But, I mean, he looks good out there, yeah.
You know, that's the case, though, if you look at a lot of rookie tight ends, like look at Sam Laporta. His numbers weren't stellar at Iowa, but he didn't get a ton of usage, and the same with Woods. And he's a guy that I would bump into that next tier ahead of Cole Kmet. I think Noah Fant this season, too, is somebody I'm interested in because they started to get him rolling at the end of the season, and it seems like Geno Smith likes him enough that maybe – I think he has a better shot at being a relevant fantasy player than Cole Kmet does this season.
Let's play a little game, Nate. Who gets more targets? DK Metcalf or Noah Fant?
DK Metcalf.
Who gets more targets?
I know what
you're saying.
Tyler Lockett or Noah Fant?
Tyler Lockett.
Who gets more targets? Jackson Smith and Jigba or Noah Fant?
I think Noah Fant.
All right. Well, then then you have the right to be in. That's the game. That's the game we play.
As long as you know what you're ordering.
Fant, I think Noah Fant, he if I had to pick somebody to be the Delaney Walker that like 7 years down the road, he finally goes to a team where he's the top dog, which Delaney Walker was with the 49ers for 7 years. Then at age 30, he goes to the Titans and has 3 top 5 years in a row. Like, Noah Fant has the athleticism that he could potentially figure it out at some point. I just think that right now in that spot, a little too crowded. I think it's too crowded for Gerald Everett. I think it's I think Isaiah Likely, who I love, needs Mark Andrews to get injured or go away. So for me, I like Darren Waller too, aka Juwan Johnson from this group. And if I'm competing to win right now, it's hard if I don't have a top tier guy and I can buy Dalton Schultz for cheap without giving up anything from my starting lineup and without if I did the right thing and I drafted if I have McBride and even if I have Michael Mayer and these guys that don't have a huge opportunity right now, I would try and get Schultz and just say, hey, at least this guy has a shot at upside, right?
So he's going to be playing with the Texans with the rookie quarterback. Yeah. And I don't really know how to deal with that, but do you see him as more of a ceiling player or a floor play?
So he's a floor play to me. Okay. He has a little bit of ceiling because he could be a top target on the team or a top 2 target. I mean, it's possible. So, but here's the problem with Schultz, besides the fact that his name's spelled wrong on the graphic. The problem with Schultz is that I'm killing Nate over these graphics.
Well, you know what? It's not Waller instead of Jawan. This is just a letter.
It's fair. It's
fair.
Actually,
yeah, it's not bad. So the thing with Schultz is that I talked about Austin Hooper and how he was on that Falcons team, threw 50 more passes than any other team. And then he goes to the Browns and they're not that good. And Austin Hooper's not that good because athletically he's not really that good. Right. Mm-hmm. Do you know who Dalton Schultz's best comparable player is on Player Profiler?
I would assume Austin Hooper.
It is Austin Hooper.
Oh, no.
So I know, dude. So if he does not get the targets, this guy, the problem, he doesn't create for himself. He doesn't have a lot of contested catches. If I said, show me the best Dalton Schultz play, you're going to be like, I think maybe it's this one, right? You know what I mean? Like it's
you're going to keep searching further and further and back in the Cowboys tape until you hit Witten and you're like, well, this was the one. Because
that was him, right?
Into Schultz, into whoever.
Yeah, like Austin Hooper, same thing. It's like, show me the really cool Austin Hooper. I think Austin Hooper did have one where he stiff-armed the guy into the dirt. That was actually pretty sick. But most of the Austin Hooper plays are like just whatever. Like Dalton Schultz's best asset was being forgotten about with the Cowboys. So he needs those targets. So you buy him in redraft and best ball or whatever, just for the upside, especially in redraft where you can drop guys. You buy him for the upside to see if week 1 he comes out and gets 7-8 targets. And if he doesn't, you might need to drop him pretty quick. But
see what the game plan is with the new quarterback and the new offense.
You got to give yourself a chance.
That's my fear with Schultz, especially in Dynasty, as we're looking long term. He might have one good season in Houston, but he sure as shit isn't going to be very relevant next season in Houston. And I worry about the situation. Like, this team isn't, like you said, Coop, they're not good. They got a new head coach.
I don't think we're hoping for much from this Texans offense.
No.
I don't know if you've been watching football for the last 5 years, but they're kind of in the punching bag of the league.
Well, I'll give you one thing. I'll give you one glimmer of hope here is that they're bringing over that 49ers offense, right? They signed Andrew Beck. It's
with who?
D'Amico Ryans and Bobby Slowick are both from the 49ers.
Cool.
Yeah. Bobby Slowick, kind of interesting. Then this is why I like Devin Singletary. Bobby Slowick, who's going to be the offensive coordinator, he worked for Pro Football Focus for 3 years.
Ooh, stats guy.
Yeah, stats guy. So he's seen some of those pass blocking stats on Damian Pierce. That's why I'm like, Devin Singletary maybe has a shot. But anyway, this is a tight end show. But so when you bring in the fullback, what the big benefit for the top 2 wide receivers and the tight end is that when the fullback comes in, you don't take the tight end out. You don't take the running back out. Who comes out of the game?
One of the wide receivers.
One of the wide receivers. So that's how you get Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk, and no wide receiver 3 is Kyle Juszczyk plays 50% of the snaps. And
they're taking out a wide receiver. And not only that, but these big boys are going to give the quarterback another second and a half to throw it.
Exactly. Cool. So you look at the Miami Dolphins, they just brought in that same offense, Alex Ingold as the fullback playing 40% of the snaps. And look at Waddle and Tyreek Hill. So
I gotta tell you, I'm a little bit scared when you say that because you're talking about a Shanahan disciple in Mike McDaniel over in Miami, right? But they didn't use their tight ends as pass catchers at all. And it might just be that Kittle is an outlier that makes it look like Shanahan uses tight ends when it's actually just a special player go ahead.
I think no, you're right though. That is the concern because you're right. Like they use a two-way tight end. So what happened is Gesicki can't block, so he only played like 35% of the snaps, 40%, and Durham Smythe, who can't catch, played more snaps than Gesicki. I think that the Dolphins probably would have loved to get Schultz, but the 49ers swooped in and took him instead. But you're absolutely right, Chester. And the real scary thing is that Kittle does block on a lot of pass plays. Too many, more than I like. So Schultz could end up being a big chunky clunky. So again, that's the scary part. But we throw in redraft, we throw Fuller out the window. But in Dynasty, you got to worry that you just bought a falling knife.
Sure. So, okay, guys, before we move on to our sleepers, I'm going to ask each of you, who's your favorite tight end in this tier? Andrew, why don't you go first?
It's Juwan Johnson. I do like the idea of Luke Musgrave because it's wide open over there. But Juwan Johnson, he's a converted wide receiver that I literally was sending. I was sending messages to Yahoo on Twitter saying, give this guy tight end eligibility until they changed it. So I was there for the start for this particular guy. And for everyone out there, there's all these people that keep telling me Michael Thomas going to get hurt. Michael Thomas sucks. Jester, you see it firsthand in the HH.
These guys, man, they're just ruthless.
Ruthless, and they're very mean. But if they put your money where your mouth is, we like Olave. If you think Michael Thomas sucks or he's going to get hurt, where are you betting? Where are you placing your money? It's either Rashid Shaheed. Yeah.
Or A.T. Perry or Darren Waller over here. Yeah.
Or Darren Waller too, right? So Darren Waller, it's kind of funny that Darren Waller is the other converted wide receiver.
That's right.
That became Nate. Yeah, that's what happened in Nate's mind there.
I totally did it on purpose.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the guy I like. That's the guy I like best from this group. What about you guys? Nate, you said you like Jelani, right?
Jelani, but I think for the purposes of this exercise, it's Waller Jr. I mean, I just love what Juwan Johnson does. And when you're talking about what that offense is going to be, so first of all, I don't know why the hell Dennis Allen's still the coach there. He won't be after this season. It's ridiculous. But with Derek Carr, he essentially is the Darren Waller.
Boom. Look at that.
And Derek Carr loves those athletic wide receiver type tight ends. This is a guy who could, I think in this offense, he's not going to be a top 5 tight end, but I could see him as a top 10 tight end this season. Especially because we all know Michael Thomas isn't going to stay on the freaking field. It's just not going to happen. And it sucks. But with those kind of ankle injuries, that soft tissue ankle injury, they just keep recurring. And it's when you're trying to compete at that high level, it's going to keep happening. So, Juwan Johnson.
I need a moment.
Every time you say that, a fairy loses its wings. Just stop doing that.
I'm not crying. I just have something in both my eyes. It does suck, but hey,
I want Michael Thomas to be a thing, man. Believe me, I still have him rostered in Dynasty.
I just bought a Michael Thomas while you were talking because I'm so upset that you're just baking it in, huh?
I believe him. Jester, pick a tight end from these bums so we can move on to the next group.
Sure. I'm not going to be I guess if I need somebody to be making points, you do this yin yang of upside versus floor, and I like that a lot. You take two, you take one at ceiling and one at floor just to hope it works. If I need points now, I guess I'm okay going back to Everett. Maybe he can edge his way into top 12. I do like Juwan Johnson. I like the prices on those guys. It's really what it comes down to. Sure. But if there's somebody that I want long-term, I think I'm going to go with McBride because I can't see Ertz coming back and wanting to finish out his career on a team that might not play Kyler at all this year. They might just be doing the Clayton Tune show and tanking and getting those 2 really, really early first because they have Houston's as well, right? McBride could be part of their future. It always takes these guys a little bit of time to warm up to the NFL speed, especially tight ends. It usually takes them at least a couple years. We've gotten a little spoiled with wide receiver early production. I don't know if we're going to get that any time with tight end production, but he's got great hands. He's kind of one of the only guys there. And So I don't know. I guess I'm predicting situation for next year, which might be not very smart, but
no, that's fine. I saw McBride get 10 targets last year. We all saw it, right? Like in a game.
Right. And what else can you ask for?
Exactly. And the thing with McBride, like Ertz, if the new head ball coach over there wasn't a former Philadelphia Eagle, Ertz probably would have already been gone. I think he's there. I think he's still just there as like a spiritual, like, when you're a new first-time head coach, you want as many of those veterans that know you and know what you do around. So I understand why Zach Ertz is still in the building.
We're gonna reach back to Moneyball again. He's the David Justice, right?
Right. Exactly. You got to keep that. Like he's basically, he's like he'll be that kid that reminds the teacher that homework was due. Right. Like he's like he's like a pseudo coach, right? Like the dad there. Maybe he will even end up becoming a coach. We've seen it before. The Bills offered Davis Webb. They said, if you want to be the quarterback coach and not be on the roster, you can be the quarterback coach. And he said, I'm just going to go get $1 million from the Giants real quick. And then now he's a coach, right? Like Kevin O'Connell, a lot of these guys, that's how it kind of goes. So I wouldn't be surprised if Ertz is just there to help shaman in this new era.
Sure. So he's like a teacher's assistant at this point.
I think it's a little bit of that. Yeah.
Okay.
He's not cute enough to be a teacher's assistant.
I know.
That's a good looking dude.
He's a good looking dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? Also, a lot of these tight ends, Nate, tight ends are good looking. Is that why we might have an affinity for them?
It could be.
There's a lot of
true. Have you seen what Isaiah Likely looks like this year?
No, but I've seen Sam Laporta, and I'll tell you what.
Dad. He's got that dad bod. Dude, Isaiah Likely this year is going with the afro and mustache combo. Dude, he is looking sharp.
Cool.
Oh, then I'm moving up my rankings.
Dude, if you some of the pictures I've seen, I was like, yeah.
Well, I'll Google it and then delete my history after the show.
Like a sexy funky Carl Winslow.
Yeah, dude.
Yes.
Jen logs in. She's like, "Why were you looking up Isaiah Likely mustache ride?"
Oh God, I'm gonna try and avoid that. So now, speaking of moving players up, we've each got a sleeper here. Andrew and I actually have the same one, but it's because we have a common love for this player.
Yeah, I'll do a second one.
Here are the three guys that we're looking at with names spelled correctly and the proper picture with each name.
See the gritty for our boy. Dude, get Taysom Hill out of my face, bro.
He's undeniable.
I can't. So, guys, here are our sleepers.
If you want Taysom Hill out of your face, you need to get your face out of the top 10 tight ends. That's just the way it is. You got to go study another position. He's inevitable.
Awful. I tried to talk as much as I could early on so that we could avoid speaking about the tight end 39.
And I wanted to do you a favor, and I held off for this long. But this man, he averages 9 catches a year, and he averages 9 fantasy points a game.
Sickening.
It's sickening. Sometimes you just have to not outsmart yourself and get the guy.
DFS only.
All right,
you know what?
DFS exclusively.
Non-tight end premium is important too because he's only getting a half of a catch a game.
That's true. Standard. I'll give him standard.
Sure. Yeah.
I actually, in my own tight end rankings at Fantasy Alarm in the draft guide, I swear Taysom Hill is 20 spots higher in standard than he is in my tight end rankings, not in my overall rankings. In my tight end rankings, in standard.
The less that catches matter, the more Taysom Hill matters.
100%.
He had more touchdowns last year than Kenny Pickett.
God, I hate him. Dude, you want to hear another Kenny? While we're making fun of Kenny Pickett,
yes.
Walter Payton has more touchdown passes than Kenny Pickett.
I mean, it's true. True. I had seen this somewhere. Enough with the Kenny Pickett.
What about
right? I'm going to kick you both off of here if I have.
Why am I getting kicked out, dude? This is
what about Edelman? Does Edelman have more touchdown?
Oh, he might.
Passes?
I know who I bet does is that wide receiver.
Vrabel might.
Vrabel has 10. Vrabel is the greatest tight end of all time.
What is it?
He's caught 10 passes and he has 10 touchdowns. He's never been tackled, bro.
No wonder he's such an efficient-minded coach, right?
And exactly. And you know who probably has more touchdown passes is remember Antoine Randall?
I remember the name.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
Antoine Randall used to throw. He used to be good for a touchdown pass or two every season. I think he played quarterback in college. So Randall, I think he's up there.
Who was the receiver that stepped up for quarterback for the Browns for like half a season? Do you remember that?
Terrell Pryor.
No, it was the other way. Yeah, he was the quarterback then. He was a nasty wide receiver. He had like 1,000 yards.
Yeah,
he
was good
cool.
until he got in trouble.
Yeah, he still has the longest quarterback run in league history.
Cool.
Yeah.
Really?
When he was quarterback for the Raiders, he had like a 98-yard touchdown run.
And that's only because they don't count Taysom Hill as a quarterback, because I guarantee you he's got like a 102 touchdown run.
Stop.
All right.
You
I'm
can't
gonna have to mute Matt here.
Mute him, dude.
Look, we're not talking about Taysom Hill. You got to say your piece. Who
All right.
I want to talk about here is Mike Gesicki.
Yeah.
Guys, he is going undrafted at points. I get it. He wasn't great last year. But like Andrew, and I think your tweet earlier may have alluded to this, he was behind Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle all season. Like, what did you think was going to happen? They were the focal point of that offense. They were going to be the focal point of that offense. Now he's in New England where, let's be honest, they need pass catchers, man, because they've got Devontae Parker. They've got Kendrick Bourne. They've got Tyquan Thornton, who's fine.
Juju and Booty.
They got Juju and they got Booty. Mike Gesicki could very well lead this team in targets this season, especially.
Wow, that's hot, man.
It's true though. I mean, even if you have the hot take is he could lead, but the not even that hot take is Juju 1, Gesicki 2. And so sorry, Nate. Back to you, but I don't think it's that. Maybe saying he leads is hot, right, Chester? Like,
sure.
But 2, not that hot, right?
No,
that's not that hot.
Right. You're right, because all those other names are have tons of question marks behind them.
Guys,
Devontae Parker.
Who's his offensive coordinator?
Bill O'Brien.
The last time Bill O'Brien was the offensive coordinator in New England, do you remember the 2 tight ends? They were top 10 tight ends.
I do. Chester, you remember?
2011. Guys, I'm still rostering one of them in like a third of my leagues. I still have Gronk just hoping.
Is it Aaron Hernandez?
Yeah, I think you probably drop Hernandez. But yeah, Gronk was tight end 2011. Gronk was tight end 1, and Hernandez was tight end 3.
They combined for over 2,500 receiving yards, somewhere in the neighborhood of like 25 touchdowns.
And neither led the team in targets. Wes Welker did. Wes Welker had 150 something. It was a crazy season, 2011. 2007 and 2011 were some of the 2 best offensive seasons of all time. Like, not just for the Patriots, but for any team.
No, those were unbelievable offenses. If Bill O'Brien does what I think he's going to do in this offense, Hunter Henry might even be relevant. I mean, that's a kind of a stretch.
Do you think he's more of an inline guy though? Because Gesicki is completely
but so is Gronk. Like, the thing is, Hunter Henry's in the Gronk role, but he's not Gronk. So, but hey, like, he's going to score touchdowns. Hunter Henry could easily score 7, 8 touchdowns. It's just hard to pencil him in for targets, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And Hunter Henry's the less sexy of the 2. I mean, really, can he gritty like that? Do you think he can gritty like that? It
really just is like a microwaved version of that 2011 where Mac Jones is Tom Brady and Hunter Henry's Rob Gronkowski and Mike Gesicki is Aaron Hernandez and Juju Smith-Schuster
is real, guys. Fair warning for the listeners.
I said microwave. It's the Walmart. Can we have Tom Brady? Well, we have Tom Brady at home. Like, can we have Wes Welker at home? And it's Juju Smith-Schuster.
So this is the microwaved great value version, except you microwaved it with them still in the cans and the microwave are burned to the ground.
Right. And then next year you're going to be eating something else.
So I want to pop into the chat real quick because I'd forgotten about this. Fun. Bill O'Brien is Gesicki's head coach at Penn State. Thank you, Albert. This was pointed out to me last week. Mike Gesicki is going largely undrafted. Coop, I just want to hear a guess. Where do you think he finishes this season?
I mean, he's tight end 24 on Underdog, and I would not at all be surprised to see him finish back end tight end 1. And it's within his range, just like Engram last year. Everyone was, again, awful to me, which obviously, the thing is, because of the way I am, it is funny. Like I'll, you know what I mean? Like
well,
I'll
they were
never
only awful to you because of the way you are. It wasn't
because of the way
analysis. It's just you.
Yeah, no, that's 100% true. You know what I mean? Like it's same thing with like Mike Fiala, like us Boston guys. Like we do ask for it, which so you know it is funny to be mean to me, which so I will admit. But like they were terrible to me when I'm like, oh, this guy is top 5 upside, and they're like, he's tight end 20. Like, what are you dumb? And I'm like, I don't know, yeah, a little bit, but he did end up top 5. So like with Gesicki, if he plays the slot and gets 120 targets, which is possible, don't tell me it's not. It is possible because unless Tyquan Thornton or Devontae Parker or Hunter Henry are going to step up and do something, then it is possible. So
how many tight ends usually break 100 per year?
Handful. And the thing is, 100 targets,
maybe?
100 targets doesn't guarantee that you can get there. Like you need 90 to have top 5 upside, but 90 doesn't guarantee you get there. Like Noah Fant has been a top 2 target on his team in the past, and he's got 90 targets, and he doesn't get there. That's the barrier to entry. It's basically like there's a party happening, and to get in the party, you need either 90 targets or 10 touchdowns, but sometimes you get 90 targets and you still just kind of stand in the corner at the party. If you get 10 touchdowns, like you're in. You're
2019 Robert Tonyan.
Yeah, Robert Tonyan is the guy that got too drunk at the party, and when championship week rolled around, he only caught 1 target, and then somebody came over and pulled his pants down in front of everybody. That was you if you started Robert Tonyan in that championship. Like you were so cool, and then you got your pants pulled down in front of all your friends in your fantasy league.
You hate to see it, folks.
I hate to see it, dude.
You hate to see it, guys.
Yeah.
All right, well, Coop, I want to say thank you so much for coming on. Our heads just got really freaking.
Why am I so close now, dude?
I don't know. You adjusted your camera when we switched, and then some. Because you're beautiful. Look at that face.
We gotta have a close up. We gotta have people coming back. Hey,
that's not creepy at all. It's fine.
People are gonna like that. Yeah, there we are. That's right.
People are gonna love that.
People are going to love that.
Go ahead.
No, so I was just saying people are gonna love that over and over.
Oh, I'm probably going to make a YouTube short of it, and 2 million likes at minimum.
Boomerang gifts.
That's kind of our bar with this show. 2 million likes minimum on YouTube. It's what we shoot for. But seriously, Coop, thank you so much for coming on. I haven't been on with you in forever, so it's good to get to chat it up, especially since I'm not going to see you at the Expo this year, which I completely understand. I get it.
Baby. Got a baby on the way, due August 8th. So if baby comes early, but it's not likely. But maybe.
But if you do that, then you'll be able to come to all the rest of them because you'll just be unattached at that point.
But dude, so here's the crazy part. I was at FSGA and I was saying to Bob Lung, like, I might not make it, but if I can,
for the listeners, what is that? That's fantasy
Sports and Gaming Association. It's for like the nerds. It's for like the bosses or whatever, But like, so I'm out there like, and I'm talking to Bob Lung, and I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna make it this year. He goes, oh no, that's not the worst part. I was like, what's the worst part, Bob? He goes, the worst part is that now your daughter's birthday is going to be on the Expo every year. I was like, Bob, dude, I was like, leave me alone. I was like, that's a new nightmare unlocked, Bob. Thank you very much, bro.
Well, let me tell you, though, it gets worse because Jackson starts school the Tuesday after the Expo. So it's like get home Monday night from the Expo and trying to figure out everything. And that's every year.
Yeah.
You can't get out of it because there's these stupid laws that your kids have to go to school.
Brutal. Dude, the Expo, man. Everyone listening, go to the Expo if you can and say what up to these guys because they're the nicest dudes ever. And it's funny that that you mentioned we haven't been on a show in a while because like I talk to both you guys so often that I just picture that we're on shows together all the time.
I've never been on a show with you, and I talk to you daily.
We talk to you every day, yeah. So like we should
really
do this.
Have you, man? It's been fun.
We should do this more often, dude. I'll get you guys over on BSN. I'm maybe a little spoiler, but I'm gonna start having a show instead of just Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 1:00 to 2 every day. So
nice, that's awesome. Yeah, dude. Let me know anytime, man. I'd love to join you.
Yeah, you guys are invited. We're gonna do that.
Awesome.
Yeah, as soon as you start scraping the dregs and getting repeats, then I'll be on the list, right?
You guys are high on the list, man. You guys are my boys, dude. You guys are my boys.
Love it, man. All right, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. The audio version will be dropping on Friday on your favorite podcast platform. Make sure to like the video. Make sure you're subscribed to Razzball. The more the merrier, and the more people that we get tuning in every week just makes us so happy. Don't you want to make Matt smile? We all want to make Matt smile. That's the goal every week, so make Matt smile. All right, guys, we'll see you next week.